What's going on, guys? Rescue J here, back with episode 11. 11 already of the Rescueality Podcast. I'm feeling so good getting back into things. I apologize if the backdrop isn't the best. Working on lighting, working on everything. I'm working on a very strict budget here, and the budget is zero. But working on getting things better. Just trying, you got to start from somewhere. Built the rescue from the ground up, my mom and I, mostly my mom, because she's the one that really started it, and then I kind of just filled in all the odds and ends, the little things here and there. But we have built the rescue from the ground up. I'm trying to build this from the ground up, and on this episode, I kind of talked a little bit about it last episode, but transporting animals. A lot of different ways that happens. A lot of different people do it. I was saying last episode how I used to do here in Mexico up to Washington State, about 1,300 miles to where we went one way. I take 40 to 60 dogs, get them all adopted out. Well, from here in Mexico to Washington is not like you kind of just hop on the freeway and go. It is in parts. Once you hit from Mexican border to the Grapevine, which if you don't know the Grapevine, it's kind of what separates Los Angeles from the rest of California. It's a mountain range. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to pass, and then you're in the middle of California. Now, from the middle of California on this side of the Grapevine to about Sacramento-ish area, there's nothing. That's the beauty, where you can make up some time as long as there's no CHP around. Don't advise that, but you can. And so that was always easy. And then Sacramento, going through Sacramento, if you're there during morning rush hour or after or evening rush hour, sucks. But we tried to plan it where we would leave San Diego at about 8 o'clock p.m. on a Thursday, drive through the night. I drove through the night to where we'd get to Sacramento at about 6 to 7 a.m., which would just be the morning rush hour Friday morning. Then we can just kind of cut through, and Northern California to Portland. What's that, about 400-ish miles or so? Really going through mountains. There's a couple flat parts, but mostly through mountains. And during the fall, during the spring, during the summer, totally fine. During the winter, there was one time we went during the winter, and it got a little snowy outside. I had some chains. Didn't use them, but I had them. And so that was scary. But I'm an excellent driver, so no problem there. And then also in that episode, I did San Diego to Arizona in the middle of August, which I wouldn't recommend. Fortunately, really good AC in the bus where you had to wear a jacket. Excellent AC. And so that wasn't a problem. But that was a terrible event. Go watch last episode. You'll hear all about that event. Or you can ask me more about it. And it terrible. Horrendous. So those are the main transports I've done. But I've driven to Vegas from San Diego. I've driven to Utah. I've driven to Colorado. Kind of driven all over this side of the U.S. or this side. For you, it'd be this side, the west side of the U.S. And I can drive for pretty good without needing any coffee or energy drinks like that. And we did that for my rescue. I did that for my rescue. Now, there are some people who they make a living transporting dogs. I work with a couple. I know a couple good friends of mine. And all they do week in, week out is just drive around. Recently, I was actually asked to join in on one of them because they had a driver, had some family stuff, and they unfortunately had to call out. So they asked me because I'm a good driver. So it was San Diego to Florida to New York to Washington, back down to California. It was a perimeter of the United States. And I unfortunately couldn't do it because I couldn't take that much time off of work. But that would have been awesome. That's a road trip and a half. I think there was like 30, 35 dogs and a couple cats in that trip. And you're just kind of dropping them off to different parts. People adopting dogs. They go into different rescues. We have also sent dogs over airplanes. There's a couple companies out there where they have a person, the babysitter, essentially, the puppy sitter, where they go on the plane with the dog and they'll go to any state. You just have to buy the ticket and you have to pay them. And we have had some people who they had to have this puppy. It was a perfect match. They were in New York, so it was across the whole U.S. And we got a quote for the plane ticket, for the dog, for the person and the company. It was like $1,200, and they're like, "Yep, no problem. Tomorrow, how's that sound?" We're like, "All right, that works." We didn't get any of that money. That was for the plane ticket and the people. So it's kind of was up to them. But they're like, "This looks just like our dog that passed away. We have to have this one." Driving is the most common one. I also know someone, they do San Diego to they do basically the Mexico border to the Canadian border. They just go back and forth every week. They can do nonstop one way, sleep for a day, and nonstop the other day, whether it's bringing dogs up and bringing some down, or just bringing up and then none down. There is some money to be made depending on how much you're driving, depending on your capacity. If you can only fit 15 or 20 animals, not going to make as much as someone that can do 40 or 50. But gas is the huge one, especially here in California. It's not the cheapest. I remember one of the trips in the bus. I think it was the trip that we did, 60 dogs. I have all the receipts somewhere, but it was something like $1,800, $1,900 in gas to there and back. It was about 1,300 miles one way, plus stopping and doing other stuff. So it was about 2,800 miles. That was expensive, and the gas mileage was not good. But there's a lot of people who do this for a living, and if I've talked to some people who they're like, yeah, I want to get into it. I've even looked at getting into it. And if you have a vehicle, your really expenses are insurance, wear and tear on the vehicle, and fuel. And if you have a fuel efficient vehicle, that cuts out a lot. If you have a fairly reliable vehicle, that cuts out a lot. Insurance is insurance. Have to have that. So if you are interested in something like that, that might be a possibility for you. If you're a driver, I've seen so many different rates. I was actually looking at seeing what rates I would do, and I was really looking at this about a year or two ago, but it's always been on my radar. I started driving dogs in like 2018, kind of since the start of the rescue, but really 2020, 2021, when we had the bus and we do these big adoption events, that's when I really transported. And I some of those are crazy stories. I can dive into one of those one day, especially that 60 dog was a crazy one. And then we went with another rescue that we had about 85 dogs, and the parking brake failed and the AC failed, and unless it was driving, and that deserves its whole other episode itself. But transportation, you can do plane, you can do by car, you probably do by boat, but it won't be that cost effective, I don't think, or would definitely take some time. But if you're looking into it, transportation, that is definitely a possibility. You could also contact an already established company, see if they need a driver. I've even looked at on the road driving or hot shotting or anything. If you're looking at doing one of those, but also want to help out animals, definitely something you can do. So yeah, if you've ever driven long distances with a dog, you have any or animal of any sort, have any funny stories or any recommendations, go ahead, comment down below, and love to hear from you. But thank you for watching this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one.